Question. All right, let's go live now to the press conference, and here's Matt Barkley with the announcement.
Thank you all for showing up today. This is pretty special. Well, before I begin, I just want to say thank you to my wonderful family, especially my parents, Sam and Lane, my brother and sister are here, for their love and support during this process. It would not have been the same without them, and probably couldn't have made it through it without them. And also, she probably will hate this, but my girlfriend's here, and she's standing in the back somewhere, so make sure you keep her alone.
He's got him!
The festivities are here.
We had a successful season because of their dedication.
Neion the Bears.
The last game of our season, I have spent considerable time, thought, and prayer in deciding whether or not to play football for the University of Southern California in 2012 or declare for the 2012 NFL Draft. My decision-making process included meetings with Coach Kiffin, Pat Hayden, and other Trojans. I also completed a number of meetings and discussions with men who are associated with the NFL, including management, agents, and current and former NFL and USC players who I respect for the leaders they are, both on and off the field. I appreciate the time, insights, and facts that these professionals provided me. I especially appreciate the perspective they imparted regarding life and the fleeting nature of sport. Importantly, they all validated what I believe to be true, that I am fully prepared and ready in all manner to move on to the NFL at this time. So at the conclusion of my decision process, I was affirmed that two wonderful options stand before me. I am prepared to play quarterback in the NFL. It is my dream to play quarterback in the NFL, and I intend to make that dream a reality. But I also know that I came to the University of Southern California to compete and have a rare journey as a USC football player, earn a degree from this exceptional university, and forge lifelong bonds with the Trojan family. I will earn my degree. The bonds have been forged. But I know in my heart that I have not yet finished my journey as a Trojan football player. Our USC football team has been through some tough times, and we have persevered. But the 2012 team has some serious, unfinished business to attend to, and I intend to play a part in it. Thank you all, thank you. So yes, I have firmly decided to forego the NFL Draft in 2012 and finish this exceptional and unique journey that I've had here at USC.
There you have it. Matt Barkley staying for his senior season at USC. Matt, arguably the best season anyone's had at USC. This season in 10 wins, he set single-game school records in completions, passing yards, passing touchdowns, and total offense. So what does this do for the other quarterbacks that will be in the draft? There's only one person to talk to. For that, we bring in Mel Kiper Jr. Mel, Matt Barkley is staying for his senior year at USC. What does this do to the top quarterback prospects now in the draft? How much does their stock go up?
Well, RG3, Robert Griffin III, now it's all about him, Trey. Baylor quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner, right behind Andrew Luck now, solidly as a #2 quarterback. You have 3 football teams in the top 10. You think about the Cleveland Browns, Miami Dolphins, Washington Redskins, all thinking quarterback. That ensures where Robert Griffin III will be very early in the first round, right behind Andrew Luck. Landry Jones, Oklahoma. Does he stay at Oklahoma? Does he come out? His stock is dropped into the middle of the first round. So I think right now it's all about RG3, obviously Andrew Luck. Luck in that #1 spot. And for Matt Barkley, it's a gamble, Trey. No question about it. Going back to USC brings with it some inherent gambles on his part in a lot of different avenues, from #1 performance, #2 injury, Matt Khalil left tackle moving on. Other quarterbacks are going to be in the mix that nobody's talking about right now, like Logan Thomas at Virginia Tech. So there will be serious competition at quarterback for Matt Barkley. He's raised that bar very high. He had a completion percentage around 70%. He threw 4 more touchdown passes than Andrew Luck and 2 fewer interceptions. That he's going back to USC, even with Matt Khalil, the left tackle, moving on to the National Football League.
Well, Mel, it is a gamble, but we've seen this happen before. Andrew Luck just last year. Now, obviously, he wasn't a senior, but he stayed. We've seen over the last 5 or 6 years, Sam Bradford had a chance to go after he won the Heisman and went back. Do you think this is more and more of a trend of people staying in college a little longer here?
Well, I think it's been proven, Trey, that the more you play in college, the better equipped you are and prepared you are for the National Football League. These kids are asked to be playing as veterans when they're rookies in the NFL, or they're kicked to the curb. So for Matt Barkley, he will be more prepared for the pressures and the expectations the NFL will have on him as a top 10 pick. I think the thing is, going back, though, you think about the supporting cast. He has 2 great receivers in Marquise Lee and Robert Woods, good tight ends, certainly an excellent running game with McNeil leading the way. Question's going to be that left tackle spot with Matt Khalil moving on, but everything's in place there. But as I said, Trey, the numbers this year were through the roof. He played at Notre Dame when they were a 9.5-point underdog. Did a great job. He played against Stanford and almost outdueled Andrew Luck. If his receivers would have come up big in that game, they could have won that game as a 7.5-point underdog. Goes to Oregon. He's a 15-point underdog, wins that game. In those 3 games, 10 touchdown passes, only 2 picks. That's why I keep saying the bar has been raised very high for Matt Barkley. Can he duplicate that? He does not have the big-time arm strength or the great size, so he needs to be almost perfect. The next year as well, remember, he's in the clubhouse now. He didn't have to play in the Pac-10 championship game, no bowl game, no Senior Bowl. Next year, he will have to finish strong and to maintain that elite grade. I said when he was in high school, Trey, he'd eventually be the #1 pick overall. That wasn't going to happen this year. Next year, at least, he's got a shot at it. So there's reason to go back and enjoy another year of college football and better prepare him for the National Football League.
In other words, he did it for you, Mel, to make sure that pick is going to be true coming out of high school if he'll be the #1 pick in 2012. Mel, as always, we appreciate the information. And, of course, we'll talk a lot about this on NFL Live coming up and more quarterbacks in the draft. Now, the Colts still own the top pick in this coming draft, but only have a 1-game lead now over the Rams and Vikings for the worst record, if you can have a 1-game lead for being the worst. And of the teams in the top 10, the Rams, Vikings, Jaguars, Buccaneers, and Panthers have drafted a quarterback in the first round in the last 3 seasons. I'll give Matt Barkley all the credit in the world. The guy knows how to milk the moment, okay? Because if he's not going to play in the NFL for years, if something happens, he could be a writer or he could be an actor, because he had you for a while. You should have seen Hugh Douglas as soon as he's leaving. He's leaving.
No,
He's going.
I'm jumping up and down because when he started it, to me, it felt like he was going to leave because he set it up perfect. And when you're a young guy in college and you look at all the enticements of the NFL, why not leave right now? You know, you were in the running for the Heisman early on, but at that point, you're looking to get that big payday. And I commend him for staying in school, trying to get, that title at USC and possibly being the #1 draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and I don't think there's any, it's all a win-win. There's no losers here. I mean, and for me, going back, I think historically we look at quarterbacks who have gone back. I think ultimately it helps prepare you. The more you play, the more you've seen, the better off you're going to be as you go into the National Football League. So that, to me, is a smart business decision, to hold back, to go back to school, and to play again in that division, the Pac-12. Great players in that division. I think it's good for him.
You know what else? College is fun. Okay?
Amen.
There's no time like it in your life.
Don't be in a hurry to
Don't be in a hurry to leave, because
Yeah.
once you leave, you can't go back.
Can I say this? College is fun if you have money in your pocket.
That's also true. That's also true. But the freedom you have sometimes at college, you never get anywhere else. So Barkley returns for his senior season, joining a list of recent really strong college QBs who opted not to leave. The most recent example would be Jake Locker, projected to be one of the top picks in 2010, but went back to Washington for his senior season and was still a top 10 pick in last year's draft. So that's ahead. Meanwhile, what's ahead in the NFL? A huge matchup, Eagles-Cowboys, Saturday in Dallas, 4:15. Philly must win to keep playoff hopes alive. Now, the first time these two met this season, Philly blew them out by 27. And if the Giants beat the Jets at 1 Eastern, the Eagles will be eliminated before this game starts. Here's Jerry Jones.
because it is the Eagles, and after the butt kicking they gave us up in Philadelphia, I'm scared. I have that kind of feeling about the respect trends into being afraid of what they can do to you.
And that was Jerry a couple days ago. Now here's Jerry, the president and GM of the Cowboys, clarifying. Afraid of messing up has caused me to be more conscientious, has caused me to be more prepared. I've said that all my life. Fear is a great motivator, great, and especially in this sport. You know, Jerry's the only guy where you don't actually have to have the quote and you can hear him saying it. You know?
Yeah.
Is that what I mean? Fear is a great motivator. And that's just the way he talks, and that's the way it is. And, you know, you guys have to believe that the Cowboys do have to have at some point, if not fear, sincere respect for the Eagles because of what they did to them the first time around. So with that in mind, Mark, give me the keys to this game, both of you, starting with you.
Well, I'm going to say for the Dallas Cowboys, it's LaShawn McCoy. How do you stop LaShawn McCoy? For me, he is not only the most exhilarating player in the National Football League to watch, but he's also the most frustrating player in the league to watch for me because sometimes I'm yelling at him like, take 2-yard gain, stick your nose in there and get your team 2 yards. And then he makes a cut. And I'm like, come on, dude, you can't make that cut. And then he goes 80, you know, and I'm like, okay, you know, my bad, my mistake, right? Yeah. So he's one of those guys that you better be lined up. You better have gap responsibility and don't start chasing because as soon as you start chasing, he's got the vision and the athleticism to make one of those jump cuts and go completely off track on you and take one and make it big.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And one thing that also makes him scary is the way that he carries a football sometimes. He carries it like a loaf of bread. Now, granted, he doesn't have a whole lot of fumbles, but as an offensive coordinator, you always are concerned about that. But the key to the game for me is the way Michael Vick is going to play. We've heard all week long that he has to play better. He has to be the type of guy that's going to protect himself. He plays a little reckless. If Michael Vick can stay healthy in this game, he could definitely help the Eagles keep their playoff hopes alive.
Well, listen, he's said before he's going to try and play more cautious, try and play safer, but in that win over the Jets, he certainly didn't look like he was playing cautious or safer. Took a big hit on the touchdown pass to Brent Selleck and spun it around the left end for a touchdown run, his first rushing touchdown of the season in that win over the Jets. By the way, just so why everybody in the Cowboys uniform should be wary of the Eagles, Jason Garrett as a Cowboys head coach has 9 losses. 8 of them were by a combined 27 points. In the other, 1 loss to the Eagles, 27 points in that game alone. So obviously the Eagles create problems. Now, Cowboy fans would love to see Tony Romo's November success carry over to December, especially in close games. With Romo as their starter, the Cowboys have played 3 home games in December and January that have been decided by 7 points or fewer, and they've lost all 3 games.
Boom, here comes the Jets. Boom, here come the Jets.
It's tone time, baby. Let's go. He keeps us laughing.
And my big arm warmed up. Marino. Oh, you gotta have it, kid. Hurt my quarterback rating.
Let's go eat a snack. Let's go get a freaking snack.
Let's do your Jets football, boys.
And New York Jet football will play New York Giant football. And the Giants are on the road Saturday despite the fact that they're home as they take on the Jets at MetLife. Now, even if the Jets lose, their playoff hopes are still alive, but there are elimination scenarios for the Giants if they lose. And these two teams have been chatting back and forth all week. On Wednesday, Giants wideout Victor Cruz, great receiver, excellent salsa dancer, said teams aren't scared of Darrelle Revis anymore, and Revis chimed in about Cruz. This is what he had to say. Whatever he says, in one ear, out the other. The only thing I remember about this guy is preseason. Bam! And that, of course, is a preseason game a couple years ago when Victor Cruz came out of nowhere and had 3 touchdown passes in that game, against the Jets. But with all the trash talking going on between the Giants wideouts and the Jets cornerbacks, who do you think really has the edge here? Are the Giants wideouts trying to talk themselves into something?
Well, I mean, the Giants wideouts, they've got some great talent. There's no question about that. And obviously, you got to catch the ball, and they had an issue with that. Hakeem Nicks dropped a bunch last week. But I'm going to give the edge to the New York Jets in their secondary. I look at Darrelle Revis. I look at what they have in Cromartie. They've got unbelievable talented guys, unbelievable athletic guys. And I really believe that they have probably the edge. It's a slight edge, but I think they have the edge. And a lot of that is because the New York Giants are a one-dimensional team. They're not a balanced football team. And I think that gives the edge to the cornerbacks of the Jets.
Yeah, there's no question about it. When you look at the New York Giants right now, they're not running the football well. And I was always told that When you say you're not afraid of anybody anymore, that means that you used to be afraid of them. So you're, in turn, you're still afraid of them. So when you make those kind of comments, you have to respect what Darrelle Revis brings to the table. And granted, he's a lot of teams are throwing at him this year, but that's because that pass rush hasn't been there, and you have a lot of quarterbacks that are able to look at that second and third read, and you see Darrelle Revis playing in that secondary. He has to play off a little bit because he can't be as aggressive because that pass rush isn't there.
So both you guys like the Jets secondary in this matchup. Okay, by the way, keep this in mind. The Giants playing the Jets in the regular season, they play every year in the preseason. The Giants have actually won 4 in a row against the Jets in the regular season, dating back to 1996. So history says the Giants will win again, but you never know how that's going to play this coming Saturday. As for the Baltimore Ravens, bad news. Wideout Anquan Boldin is having surgery on his knee to deal with a slightly torn cartilage. Coach John Harbaugh said the veteran's going to miss the final 2 weeks of the regular season, but should be able to return for the playoffs. The Ravens did not say which knee is injured. So let's bring in ESPN insider Adam Schefter here. Adam, what more can you tell us about this injury to Anquan Boldin?
Well, this is a situation, Trey, where his knee flared up on Tuesday night after the Ravens walked through practice, and they now think he's going to have to miss 2 weeks, which puts even more of an emphasis on the Baltimore Ravens trying to get that first-round bye so they can get Boldin back for their opening playoff game on the divisional playoff weekend. He could play if they play in the wild card round, but it's not going to be as easy for him to get out there. And in the interim, to try to help them secure that AFC North title and that first-round bye, they're going to rely even more on Lee Evans, who they acquired from the Buffalo Bills this summer, who's battled injuries of his own, but Evans will have to step up in Boldin's absence now while they wait for Boldin to get back in time for the start of the playoffs.
Adam, thanks. Or they could just feed the ball to Ray Rice more, and that might help them a little bit, as Ray Rice has not gotten a lot of carries in 3 of the Ravens' 4 losses. When we continue here on NFL Live, Thursday Night Football, what to make of the game between the Texans and the Colts? Is Indy dangerous now after having finally gotten off the schneid? Meanwhile, 2 divisions are completely crazy, but what about what team that might sneak into the playoffs that just might scare you? And the AFC West and the NFC East. It's like potpourri. Just throw it up in the air. We still don't know who's coming down on top.
Holiday football live on ESPN America. In Week 16, it's that time of year, and ESPN America is giving you the gift of football. The Chicago Bears touch down in Green Bay to exchange well wishes with the Pack. But for visiting teams, Lambeau Field just isn't the place for holiday cheer. Bears at Packers, Sunday at 0200 CET. Holiday football live on ESPN America, home of the NFL.
Ebenezer Ditka. Should the Colts get rid of Peyton Manning for Andrew Luck?
Luck for Manning? Are you kidding? You can't get rid of Peyton Manning. I'm going to give you a come on, man. Then I'm going to give you a stop it. Bah! Humbug!
Oh, Mike. What to watch for tonight as Week 16 gets underway with the Texans at the Colts. Texans not only trying to avoid losing back-to-back games, but they're going for their first ever season series sweep of the Colts in Texans franchise history. It certainly helps that, of course, Peyton Manning isn't there this year. For more on the Colts and Texans, we welcome in Bob Holtzman from Indianapolis. Bob, the Texans have already clinched the AFC South, played flat against the Panthers in a home loss last week. How motivated should we expect the Titans to be tonight against the suddenly winning Indianapolis Colts?
Well, Trey, Houston has 2 very big motivating factors tonight. First of all, the Texans are 0 for Indianapolis. They've lost 9 straight games here, something Arian Foster told me everyone on the team is very well aware of. The other thing is the Texans can still get a playoff bye. That would be invaluable for a team that this week listed 26 players on its injury report. That's half the roster. Tonight they'll play again without Andre Johnson. They may be without tight end Owen Daniels. And for the second straight game, they'll be without defensive coordinator Wade Phillips. And Trey, keep in mind that Sunday, when they played without Phillips on the sidelines, the Texans played their worst defensive game in a couple of months.
No question about that. The defense is for the Colts is going to have to deal with Arian Foster. He's faced the Colts twice and has more than 400 total yards. Any reason to think Indy can somehow slow him down in this game tonight?
Well, the Colts went back and watched film of both of those games. They were last season, and cornerback Jacob Lacey told me it's pretty quick, pretty simple fix because he said it was really just a bunch of bad tackling. With that said, it won't be easy. The thing the Colts have going for them tonight is that Foster has really been stopping himself recently. 4 fumbles in the last 4 games. I talked to him yesterday. He told me it's been bothering him so much that he actually sat down Tuesday night this week and started researching some of the all-time great running backs in the NFL. Guys like Eric Dickerson, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders. He wanted to see how often they fumbled, and Trey, he told me it was very reassuring to know that he is still fumbling less than any of those guys did.
All right, Bob, thanks. We'll see what happens tonight in the game between the Texans and the Colts. And Bob alluded to this in the report. Among active franchises, Houston is one of 3 teams that's 0-9 or worse on the road against one opponent. Chargers are 0-14 all-time at Pittsburgh, and like the Texans, the Vikings have never won a road game against the Colts in either city, Baltimore or Indianapolis. All right, so let's talk about TJ Yates here. Listen, the guy was great, money for 2 straight weeks, but he did have some problems in that home loss to Carolina. If you're the Houston Texans, because you know this is going to be the guy not only for the regular season, but who has taken you through the playoffs, how concerned should you be?
I don't think you're concerned at all. I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of concern, but here's a rookie quarterback that's played exceptionally well. He made a couple of bad decisions. But even in that last week, they, as a football team, they laid the ball on the ground with an Arian Foster fumble. They had a holding call that brought back a great drive and a great run by Arian Foster. They made mistakes collectively. Did TJ Yates make a couple of bad decisions, a couple of bad throws? Yes, he did. But ultimately, I thought other than those couple of bad decisions, he played exceptionally well. All you have to do, if you're the Houston Texans, run the football. That's what you've got to do, and I believe they'll get that done. And I love it when the Colts say, hey, we only, really it wasn't that big a deal. We just had a couple of bad tackles. You know what? When the guy goes 12 yards before anybody has an opportunity to tackle him in those games, yeah, you're going to miss some tackles. They've run the ball exceptionally well on Indianapolis.
You know what? That's not good. But it makes me think of T.J. Yates and the Texans right now. This old saying my coach used to say when I made a big play, I would jump up and down and do all kind of crazy stuff. Act like you've been there before. Well, guess what? This is the first time they've ever won the division. They've never been there before. So you're going to have that letdown. The city was going crazy when they did that. So this team was a little bit excited. They had a little bit of a carryover. They're going to be fine. I think they're going to get right back on track. They know that they have to get this game if they want that first round bye to get some guys healthy and get ready for the playoff run.
Yeah, they really have been a very resilient team all year. People forget they lost Mario Williams, their best defensive player, very early on in this season, and they still have been one of the better defenses all year long. All right, lots more coming on this edition of NFL Live, including all these teams that are still hanging around a postseason berth. Which one would you not want to see the most and why? That's ahead on this week's edition of Point Blank. Once again, Hugh and Mark proving their writing skills are absolutely fantastic.
Point. ESPN America bringing you the best NHL action all season long. On Friday night, Philly faces off in the Big Apple. Can the Flyers keep up their stellar play on the road, or will the Rangers skate on to victory? Flyers at Rangers tomorrow night at 0100 CET, live on ESPN America.
Every game should be a rival game.
It's a game of attitude. Both teams are highly, highly competitive.
It's a smash-mouth football game. They try to be the bullies on the block.
Measuring a man against a man.
Clash of the Titans. It's a coin flip.
Just gets the juices flowing.
Doesn't matter what the records are.
Whenever you can beat them on their home field, that's great.
Because you shut up all the fans.
There's so much hatred there.
It's just who can take whose punch the longest.
You know you got to win this one.
This is the game you don't want to lose.
And that's what a rivalry is.
Good luck.
Well, again, as we come close to crossing the bottom of the hour here on NFL Live, the big news is that we will not be discussing Matt Barkley in the draft or next year. The USC quarterback saying he will come back for his senior year, saying the 2012 Trojans have a lot of unfinished business, and he will be leading the way. So with Barkley staying in school, here's Todd McShay's top 5 quarterbacks. Andrew Luck remains at the top, followed by 3 quarterbacks from the Big 12. Heisman winner Robert Griffin III, Sikkim, Landry Jones, and Ryan Tannehill, although Griffin and Jones have yet to declare for next April's draft. And Griffin actually has all kinds of options, including running for the hurdles and going for a gold medal in the Olympics in 2012. But back to Matt Barkley and back to Adam Schefter. Adam, what can you tell us this impact on how teams will play out for quarterbacks in the draft?
Trey, this is something of a blow to teams that need quarterbacks in the upcoming draft, like the Dolphins, like the Redskins, like the Seahawks, like maybe the Browns, like maybe the Chiefs. Any team that would be looking at drafting a quarterback up high now has one less quality quarterback to choose from. It's a blow. It moves up the value of some of those other quarterbacks, but you can't take a blue-chip quarterback prospect out of this draft without having some type of ramifications and aftershocks on the teams that were hoping to get one.
All right, so you talk about big franchise quarterbacks. Let's talk about Big Ben Roethlisberger. We saw him limp through that game Monday night in San Francisco. What's the very latest on his status for this game against the Rams?
Again, a situation where Ben Roethlisberger is optimistic that he can go out there and play, but the Steelers want to be smart in the way that they use him out there on Saturday, if they use him at all. And I know that there are private doubts within the organization about using him, and they know that they could take out the Rams without having Ben Roethlisberger, and it might be wiser to go with a quarterback like Charlie Batch on Saturday instead and give Roethlisberger some time, but no decision yet, at least publicly, from the Steelers at this point in time. As for the Oakland Raiders and their running back, Darren McFadden, he's continuing to try to get back on the field. Doesn't look like he's going to play this week. He still has not given up hope that he could be back at some point next week for the regular season finale against the San Diego Chargers or even in the playoffs. But he has spoken with Dr. Robert Anderson this week. They've gone over his CAT scan, X-rays, and MRI. The foot is not healing as quickly as McFadden would like. Still hoping to get back out there at some point this season, but with each week that goes by, it looks increasingly unlikely.
All right, Adam, as always, we appreciate the information. Thanks.
Thank you, Trey.
We continue here on NFL Live with this week's edition of Point Blank. We're getting down to the end of the regular season, only 2 weeks left, and still so many teams with a viable shot to make it into the playoffs. So this week's statement is very simple. If the blank get into the playoffs, they would be dangerous because of blank. Hugh, you go first. What team are you writing?
Mark,
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, well, you know, like you didn't see this one coming.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Keep hope alive.
All right, they were dangerous in the playoffs because of what?
Because, well, this one's easy for me. This is right here. Team speed.
They got a lot of it.
Okay, when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they are so incredibly fast all across the board in every position, and they're just so difficult to match up with. So it comes down to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're the fastest team in the NFL when you watch them week in and week out.
Especially with Michael Vick back at quarterback. He missed a couple of games. Hard to believe after that loss in Seattle a few weeks ago. They still have life, but they do.
Keep hope alive.
All right, Mark, what's the challenge for Hugh?
Okay, Hugh, right here.
San Diego Chargers, it looks like.
San Diego Superchargers, buddy.
And you know what? I know no one man is an island, but in this case, I'm going to go with this guy.
Takeo Spikes?
Takeo Spikes.
His muscles have muscles.
His muscles have muscles. You're talking about a 14-year veteran who's never been to the playoffs. This guy wants to be in the playoffs so bad he can taste it. This is the reason why he's holding on. He single-handedly helped that team win the other night. I mean, there was some other components of that game, but he played a really good game. I think that he's going to be one of the guys that's going to help them get there.
Again, no one in the NFL has played longer than Takeo Spikes and not made it into the postseason. I got one for both of you.
Okay.
If the Seahawks get into the postseason, that sort of looks like Seahawks, they would be dangerous because of what?
All right, Hugh, I'm going to give it to you. You can talk.
Beast.
Beast mode.
Unleash the beast.
Unleash the beast.
Well, I tell you what, you better have a lot of Skittles if this team gets to the playoff. Because this man right here, when you see him take the hits that he takes and he bounces off of these tackles and everything, this is a guy that wants to get into the end zone, and he's going to do everything possible to do that and get there.
Yards after first contact.
Yep.
There's nobody better in my mind than the Beast.
There's no question.
This guy is just absolutely a one-man wrecking crew, and he's making that offense go.
10 straight games with a touchdown. That is a franchise record. And as we all know, if Seattle finds its way in, it can be dangerous.
Make some noise.
Like last year when they went in 7-9 and then they beat Seattle, or they beat New Orleans, rather, when all of us said it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll never make that mistake again. When we continue here on NFL Live, Des Bryant has made a lot of plays, but recently a fashion choice has people wondering, what's going on?
This January on ESPN America, we're ringing in the new year with style. The NFL playoffs shift into high gear, leading to Super Bowl 46. Every BCS bowl game live, including the national championship, the NHL All-Star Game. Plus, the long road to the Final Four continues with NCAA college hoops. And the best extreme athletes throw down at the Winter X Games. The brightest stars, the biggest games, all this month live on ESPN America.
On a 20-yard throw, Rodgers releases the pass when his target is still about 7 yards from his break. To time it perfectly, he must hit a launch window lasting roughly 0.2 of a second, faster than the blink of an eye. But our brains take about 1/10 of a second to register information, and NFL DBs take nearly 0.4 of a second to change direction. In that amount of time, the receiver can create 3 feet of separation, making this pass virtually indefensible. For ESPN Sports Science, I'm John Brinkus.
Welcome to ESPN's debut of NFL Primetime.
On Christmas Eve.
Primetime.
Just like old times.
Thank you for spending Christmas Eve with us.
Boomer and TJ are together again for a special edition of NFL Primetime. This year, celebrate the holidays with the guys as they get you caught up on all 13 Christmas Eve games.
Go! Oh!
'Tis the season for a little football amongst friends. NFL Primetime, a special edition, Christmas Eve at 8 on ESPN2.
Well, one of the big games on Christmas Eve, Cowboys-Eagles. Only 3 times in the Super Bowl era has an Eagle rushed for more than 140 yards against the Cowboys, and Shady McCoy's done it twice. He rushed for 149 yards against Dallas in Week 14 last season. Then Week 8, he went for 185 yards in the Eagles' 34-7 win. Maybe that's why Jerry Jones used the word scared or afraid when talking about playing the Eagles. And that was a word that the Eagles decided to pick up on.
I don't know what he's really trying to get at when he said that. I think he's a very confident owner in this team. I don't know if he's trying to use that as a reverse psychology type deal, but whatever the case may be, we're still gonna go out there and play the game. And if that's really what he feels, then I guess that's just how he feels.
I think he's just talking. He's trying to hype his team up a little bit. Juice the game up a little bit. So that's probably the biggest thing about it.
It's pretty scary. I mean, what we can do, what we pose a different to a defense, it can be scary. I mean, and we attack from all angles, and we just come out and we give it everything that we got, and the thing is, we confident, we know what we can do as a team.
Well, again, the scenarios for the Eagles, even if they beat the Cowboys, they still have to have all kinds of help. It's got to be a 3-way tie between the Cowboys, Eagles, and Giants for the Eagles to win the NFC East. And the Dallas Cowboys, look, they can clinch the division on Saturday if they beat the Eagles and the Jets beat the Giants, then it's over. Des Bryant hoping to be a big part of that for the Cowboys, and the Cowboy coaches would like to see that. But Des Bryant was seen walking around the Cowboys locker room the other day with a shirt that said lazy but talented. I offer that with no comment, looking for yours.
Listen, man, you got to understand the locker room. Sometimes you've got to have a place or a player that brings some levity to a locker room, especially this time of year where it's intense. We always had a guy by the name of Keith Burns, who's a special teams coach for the Broncos now, that we called him Tick, and he would always do something that would just be absolutely ridiculous within a locker room, and it eases the tension. You got to have fun playing this game. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's funny.
Mark, I'm surprised you say that, because in this case, perception is reality. And what you hear about him all season long is how he has not played up to his potential, and how he is not doing certain things that he needs to do as a number 1 wide receiver. So when you wear a shirt like that and the media sees that, it automatically confirms what they already think about you. You have to have a little bit of, you have to have a little bit of common sense in this situation and not wear a shirt like that.
Doesn't matter, though, what we think of him, as long as his teammates have his back, and I'm sure they found it funny. So, you know what? I mean, that's how I look at it.
I'm old school.
But, well, we are in the era where we want to know everything all the time about everything. And sometimes you can make it out to be a lot more than it is, depending on, like you said, how it plays with his teammates. We can tell you that Brian has improved in almost every major receiving category during his second year in the NFL. 13 games, he has 9 receiving touchdowns, almost 800 receiving yards. Last season, he only played in 12 games because of the ankle injury ending his rookie season. Lots more coming on this edition of NFL Live, including Tim Tebow with a whole new cast of teammates, and also How will the AFC West eventually shake out along with the NFC East? It's a little crazy. We'll try and sort it out for you next on NFL Live. You're wearing a lazy but talented shirt right now, aren't you?
Lazy?
I am lazy.
Hey, just checking.
ESPN America, bringing you the best NHL action all season long. On Tuesday night, conferences collide as the Jets fly south to Colorado. The Avalanche are on the slide, but will be hoping to gain momentum against the NHL's newest franchise. Jets and Avalanche, Tuesday at 0300 CET, live on ESPN America.
Aaron Rodgers, I mean, what can he do wrong yet? He's the best quarterback today.
We might be seeing the ultimate quarterback. His flight of the football out of his hand is second to none. The brain work at the line of scrimmage, the toughness and courage, ability to extend the play, the accuracy, the athletic quarterbacks, all wrapped up in one guy right now, Aaron Rodgers.
Welcome to the ESPN Player, your source for college sports. It's all live, all on demand, and all from €9.99. Sign up now.
Dodge into the end zone. Touchdown! Kansas City. Green Bay goes down in a sea of red. Tebow breaks the tackle. Tebow's inside the 5. Yeah! Tim in the pocket. He sets, throws. What a beauty.
Matthews on the trampoline. Touchdown! Looking for Malcolm Floyd near side. He's got it in stride. Touchdown! San Diego!
That was our way of showing you that the AFC West is like something you'd put in a blender, mix it all up, throw it up in the air, and see what happens. At this point, anybody can still win this division, but Mark and Hugh are going to tell us who is going to win this division with the touchscreen here. We're going to break it down 3, 2, and 1. Give me the order. Mark, you start 3, 2, and 1 with eventually the winner, your last pick here.
Okay.
So who's finishing third in this division?
All right, first, I'm going to go to my third overall team in the AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs. And you look at what Kyle Orton was able to do last week. He absolutely eviscerated the Green Bay Packers defense. Was great. Romeo Crennel, I think they love Romeo. And Romeo's playing to be, or they're playing for him to be that head coach. So I believe that's going to be my number 3rd team. My second team right here, the San Diego Chargers. Obviously, when December rolls around, January rolls around, it's North time in San Diego. Antonio Gates looks healthy again, controlling the middle of the field. Ryan Matthews has figured it out. He's really running the ball well. And my last team right here.
The Denver T-Bows.
The Denver Broncos. Listen, they've got some mojo defensively. They got hit a little bit last week against the New England Patriots, but that happens to everybody that plays the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. I think they've got enough, and this weekend in Buffalo, they may have 350 yards rushing. So Denver Broncos finish first.
All right, Buffalo has lost 7 straight games. That's the good news for the Denver Broncos. Hugh, you tell me, do you have the same order? Go 3 to 1 here.
You know what? I have to go with Mark on this one because he couldn't have said it any better. They're playing for Romeo Crennel right now.
The Chiefs
He's
are.
playing extremely well, and they like the guy. Tom Ali is playing extremely well football at this point of the season. That defense looks phenomenal. Now, the second team that I'm going to go with the Denver T-Bows.
Okay.
I think that
that's catchy.
Yeah. Last week, what we saw, you know, you had a coach come in and he had a great game plan for this game. Everybody saw what Tim Tebow does not like. He can't roll to the right, so they're going to start overload blitzing, and they're going to give him a little bit of problems. So I think that's going to be a big issue this weekend. Now, the number 1 team that I like is the San Diego Chargers.
What a run that would be.
And it's a phenomenal run. And the reason why I say that, because you have Takeo Spikes on this team. This is a guy who has never been in the playoffs. In his 14-year career, he's never been in the playoffs. Got an interception this weekend. Right. And he looked like a young man running around out there. You don't do that in your 14th season. So I think that Takeo Spikes is going to be the guy that's going to be the catalyst for this team.
He's highly motivated. By the way, Takeo Spikes has played more games than anyone else in NFL history without playing a single game in the postseason. The West is a mess. There's another division out there that is also quite a mess.
1, 2, 3.
Vick looks, fires, caught by Stella at the 5. He's in for the touchdown. He's at the 5. He dives.
Touchdown. The interception in the corner of the end zone.
You know, they played better than us. They had a good plan defensively.
Dobson throws it in the end zone. It's a tie ball at the goal line. Who got it? Touchdown.
Now, unlike the AFC West, only 3 teams can win the NFC East, and it's kind of weird. It could go down to the final play of the final game, or it could be wrapped up by the time Christmas rolls around, depending on how things fall. So let's go NFC East. You got the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys all still in it. Mark, give me your teams 3-1.
Okay, 3. I'm going right here. The Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
I love.
Hugh is upset already.
Listen, I love the run they've been on, but too little, too late for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, you got to start off fast. You got to finish fast. They weren't able to do that, so they're my number 3 team. My number 2 team, I'm going the New York Giants here. Issues with the New York Giants for me, I think their quarterback is playing at a very high level. I think he's an elite quarterback. But their running game, this is not a Tom Coughlin type team. They're last in the league in rushing the football. That's not New York Giant football. And my number 1 team has got to go to the Cowboys. I think it comes down to the very last weekend where these two play, and I think the Cowboys figure out a way not to make a gaffe in the fourth quarter like they did, that 12-point lead they let get away. They win that division.
That's happened 3 times already to the Cowboys this year. It happened 2 times in all the other years of Cowboy history combined. Hugh, give me your 3-1.
You know what? I'm a little, perplexed about the 3rd pick for the Eagles, but I'm going to go this one. I'm going to say the New York Giants are 3rd, and one of the reasons why Victor Cruz basically came out and said that we're not afraid of Darrelle Revis. Normally, when you do things like that, that usually means that you are afraid of Darrelle Revis. I think the Jets are going to bounce back this week. I think they're going to have a really good game. So now, that leads me to the 2nd team. And let me find them here. And I hate to do this, but the Philadelphia Eagles. I've never been a fan of a team that is not in control of their own destiny. They have to win out, and they still have to wait to see what another team is going to do.
Right.
So with all due respect, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from a lot of Eagle fans.
This has to hurt you.
It has to hurt. This team right here, no matter what happens, you heard Jerry Jones say this week that he's afraid of the Philadelphia Eagles. That might be all well and good, but guess what? He's not afraid of the New York Giants. If they lose this game with the Philadelphia Eagles this week, they still control their destiny. They have to go to New York, and they play New York. I think they match up well with New York. That secondary is banged up. Tony Romo is getting hot at the right time. I think I think the Cowboys win the division.
It's interesting. Neither of you have the Giants winning the division. If that doesn't happen, this will be the first time since 1994, 1995, and 1996 that the Giants went 3 straight years without making it into the postseason. Well, that's the hard, cold reality of what's Week 16's about. Coming up next, Matthew Berry with love-hate fantasy-wise for Week 16. Stay with us.
College football is all about history, team spirit, and tradition. For over 140 years, generations of fans worldwide have supported their teams.
Touchdown, MSU!
But most of all, it's about bowl games. Lots of them.
Going for it all to the end zone. It's intercepted! Holy cow!
And the BCS National Championship.
Auburn wins!
ESPN America. College football lives here.
Michael Kanan will be kicking off. Mark Mariani is back deep for Tennessee. And these are going to be returnable going into the wind as Mariani takes it out. And he hands the ball off to Tommy Campbell. And Campbell speeding his way. No one is going to catch him. Touchdown on the kickoff return. 100 yards.
And what a beautiful design by special teams coordinator Alan Lowry. Unbelievable execution. Mariani, a Pro Bowl returner. Everybody focused on him. You give it to Campbell, and he does the rest untouched.
Hot and cold heading into Week 16. There's no quarterback who's been hotter at home than Drew Brees. He's the only quarterback this season who's thrown 20 touchdowns at home, and the Saints still have 2 home games left. Monday and a huge one against the Falcons, and Week 17 against the Panthers. You love Drew Brees at home, but what about everybody else in fantasy? Matthew Berry with love-hate.
Thank you, Trey. A couple of guys that I like or dislike more than my fellow rankers over there on ESPN. And the guy that I love right now, Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. 7 touchdowns in his last 2 weeks. He threw for 350 yards against the Saints earlier this year. They give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. We know the Saints are going to blitz a lot.
Well, Matt Ryan, top 10 in the NFL in terms of completion percentage when facing 5 or more rushers.
Yeah, I love him too. And bottom line for me, they're going to play Monday night in New Orleans.
Yep.
You know New Orleans is going to put points on the board, so you're faced to throw the ball a lot. I like Matt Ryan this weekend.
You know what? I don't like him this weekend just for that simple fact. They're going to blitz him a lot. I think that he doesn't do that well under pressure. I think that he's not going to have a good game this weekend.
Listen, I hope you're right, because Mort is starting him against me. One guy that I am not crazy about this week, Joe Flacco. Thrown for under 250 yards in 4 straight games, just 5 touchdowns in 4 games. Last time he faced Cleveland, 158 yards, 0 touchdowns, no Anquan Bolden. And believe it or not, Cleveland, the 4th fewest fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Part of that's because you can just run so much on them, which is what I think happens. A lot of Ray Rice in this game.
I think you get a lot of Ray Rice, but I like him because I think they're going to try to open it up as well. I know Anquan Bolden's out. I think number one thing he has to do is shave that mustache, okay? Because that was a bad look right there. But I like him this weekend. I think they get back on track offensively.
You know what? I don't like him this weekend for that reason that you mentioned. Anquan Bolden is not in that lineup. I know you're going to get a lot of Ray Rice, but other teams know that Ray Rice is going to get the ball a lot. They're going to put 8 in the box. It's going to be tough for him. So I don't like him this week.
All right, going on to another guy that I love this week, and that's Rashard Mendenhall. He's been disappointing for fantasy owners this year, but averaged 4.3 yards per carry last week against San Francisco, and they give up normally just 3.3. Big Ben banged up, whether it's him or Charlie Batch back there. Steelers going to want to force the run even more against St. Louis. 32nd in the NFL against the run. Mendenhall, who has had 16 touches the last 4 weeks, 16 touches against the Rams, I like his chances.
I really do, too. I think they will feed him. Obviously, Ben Roethlisberger's hurt. They have to have that component in this offense, especially going down the stretch, for that offense to function properly. I think they're going to feed Mendenhall. I think he's going to have a big day.
I think they're going to feed him, but I have to disagree. I think that this young Rams team, this is the time of year where you want to play spoiler to certain teams and you want to try to hang your hat on something. I think this team is going to come to play, so I disagree with Rashard Mendenhall this week.
Wow, love for the Rams.
All
right, there you go. All right. Well, good luck at week number 16.
One thing you don't be afraid to do, and this is a little piece of fantasy advice, don't be afraid to start a tight end in your flex position. A guy like, Brent Selleck. Because how did that go in our matchup last week?
My guy, you had the worst team ever, but it beat me.
Way to go, Brent! 26 points, my brother.
Who does that guy play for? The Eagles.
I beat you 7 straight weeks leading up to our matchup, and then in the semifinals, it just goes to show everything happened. The important thing is that I finished ahead of Trey.
The important thing is I won.
The important thing is you and I continue to beat Matthew Berry senseless in fantasy every time we play. When we continue live from New York, it won't be Matt Berry, but it might be Tim Tebow?
I'm not a big roller coaster or heights fan.
I haven't thought about skydiving yet. I don't know if I can jump out that plane.
I pass on most of those big-time roller coaster rides.
I'm afraid of snakes, man. God, I'm afraid of snakes.
ESPN America isn't just your source for North American sports in Europe and the Middle East.
It's a community that brings American sports fans together.
Oh, my! Can you believe that? Yeah! We've taken fandom to the next level on espnamerica.com.
Where you'll find unique and exclusive content tailored for our viewers, including podcasts, blogs, photo galleries, and competitions.
Plus, you can watch game highlights.
Oh, the silence of the Lamb.
The open lamb slam! And read behind-the-scene interviews with some of your favorite athletes.
If that's not enough, we're available on Twitter and Facebook.
So you can debate your favorite sports topics with other passionate fans.
And follow some of your favorite ESPN America personalities.
Let's go to work.
Magnifique. There's no question about that.
What are you waiting for? Join our community. Check out ESPN America's great apps on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Get into the game on espnamerica.com.
Live from New York, it's Tim Tebow? HollywoodLife.com reporting that SNL is hoping to get Tebow to host a show when the season is finished. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Joe Montana are among the 9 football players who have hosted the show. The great Walter Payton also once hosted the show. Your thoughts on Tim Tebow doing SNL?
I think it would be hilarious. I mean,
well, I do too, but do you think he'll do it?
I wouldn't see why. Well, I mean, I could see why he wouldn't, but I think he might do that. Yeah, I think he could do that.
You know what? I don't think so. He's already a polarizing figure, so why would you give anybody else any more ammunition when you're already a guy that people either love you or hate you?
People love people that can make fun of themselves a little bit.
That's true too. I wouldn't do it.
Listen, he's polarizing. That's why they want him for the numbers. Thanks for watching NFL Live. See you.
ESPN America. America for sports.
Baltimore week, baby. They don't like us. We damn for sure don't like them, baby. So we give them a dose of Steeler football today.
Repeat after me. Finish. This is our championship. They got back while we starved. Oh, they don't like us. Oh, they don't like us.
In the 2011 season opener, the Baltimore Ravens beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 9th meeting between the two teams in less than 3 years. It has become the best rivalry in the NFL. Who better to talk about it than the two head coaches? Baltimore's John Harbaugh and Pittsburgh's Mike Tomlin.
From a coach's standpoint, it's an easy week because not a lot needs to be said.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you come out on Wednesday and the guys, A, they know the Steelers inside and out, and B, they've been watching them for 2 days to make sure they know them inside and out.
I'm going to say this very calm. Every time you take your best freaking middle linebacker out in the middle, where do they go? Pittsburgh do this all the time. I've been playing them for 13 years. When you avoid the middle, they go into the middle. It's never changed.
You're always trying to find some way to trick them, you know, some way to do something that they aren't expecting. They know we do this, and they know they think we're going to do this, and therefore they'll think we're going to do that. So let's try this. And it seems like they pretty much were expecting it all along, and I think both teams are like that. You know, it's hard to surprise each other.
How's the relationship off? Like if you see Coach Harbaugh here, you know, you get your blood going a little bit. That's the Ravens guy.
It's cordial. In a word, it's cordial, as it should be.
How's the fam, man?
Doing great.
Daughter's doing great. What's she going to be for Halloween, man?
You know, I don't even know yet. I got to find out. But we got the bye weekend, so I'll be off. I'll be walking with her.
Oh, you're lucky.
It's going to be nice.
There's nothing cordial once the game begins. Every game between these AFC North Division rivals matters. Since the year 2000, they have combined for 14 playoff appearances and 8 division titles.
Like any big rivalry you have, you go against your brother. That's when the real stuff comes out.
I'm the only guy's going to talk to the officials or to the Steelers. You just play. We got
But you hug them after the game, you know, and you do respect them. And when you win, there's no greater feeling.
I'm a proponent of the iron sharpens iron theory. Anytime you compete against someone that's as committed as you are, it makes you stronger.
It's always a beast, isn't it, man? See you soon, man. Take care now. All right. Good luck. Take care now. Right.
Our teams need to be built to handle each other, and that's probably why we're so similar. Sometimes you turn on the tape and you feel like you're looking at a mirror image of yourself.
The balance is unbelievable. Ray Lewis, James Ferrier, Terrell Suggs, James Harrison. For every blue chip player for one team, the other team has the alternate name.
You can zero in on 2 guys. You can watch the nose guard and the center. You can study that stuff, and it's pretty exciting football.
Rashard Mendenhall thought he was picking up a blitzer, but it was a 350-pound blitzer, and the next thing you know, he ends up in Ben's lap.
We ain't turned him loose. He just ran over him.
It's always gory to watch our tight ends versus their outside linebackers. Heath Miller versus Suggs and Johnson is usually a pretty good description of how the game is unfolding.
We talked thought it was going to be.
And it's going to be a physical confrontation. You know, all the stuff that kind of happens through the course of the play, after the play, you know, that's all real because the emotions are really up there.
Both teams intend to impose their will on one another. Whenever the two teams come together, it's usually fireworks and a field goal that separates them. Usually the first team that blinks loses.
You got to find a way to win the game. You got to make a play, and you got to avoid mistakes. And it's hard to do in an emotional game like that.
Brown on his feet. Game on the line.
Roethlisberger takes. He wants to throw it on 3rd and goal. He looks right, nothing there. Scampers left. Looks. Stops. Now comes back to his right. Throws the pass. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. Santonio Holmes. The Steelers have the lead, and the Baltimore sideline is crushed.
8 of the last 9 meetings have been decided by single digits.
On the blitz. Slant pass intercepted. Kruger has it. Cook to hold. Kick on the way. And it is good. And the Ravens have won it in overtime.
Flacco is going to be hit by Paul. Ball's out. The Steelers are going for it. They pick it up. Woodley has it inside the 15, down to the 10. And the Steelers break the hearts of 71,000 people.
There have been plenty of memorable moments in late-game heroics.
3rd and 20 from his 38. And has time. He lofts it long pass down the field, trying to get under it.
Harbaugh and Tomlin have their favorites.
My favorite memories are wins. You know, Joe Flacco hitting TJ.
37 seconds left. Ravens trail 14-10. Blitz pressure coming. Flacco throws. End zone. Hushmanzada has it. Touchdown, Ravens! The Ravens offense delivers the miracle.
You just never forget that stuff.
We've been built for this for 3 years. Have you ever been part of a better victory? I've been coaching for 27 years. How long have you been playing? Too long to remember.
Absolutely, without question, it's the AFC Championship from 08.
Turnover time, let's go.
When Troy picked off the Joe Flacco pass and cut across the field and sent us to the Super Bowl will be something to be etched in my mind forever.
He turns and goes for the goal line, and he's in for the Pittsburgh Steelers touchdown.
There's an immeasurable value in coming out of that game on the victorious side. Conversely, I think you die a little bit when you don't win that game.
So easy to feel the heartbreak in this final moment as the snow falls and the wind swirls in Pittsburgh, and the Ravens have to stomach the knowledge that the Steelers will be on to Tampa.
You know, it's just a team we need to beat, you know, and they feel the same way about us, period.
You just respect them. You're tired of seeing them at the same time. You're excited about seeing them because it's an opportunity to measure yourself. More than anything, you just want to play the game.
Good job. Good luck, man.
Y'all a hell of a football team. Y'all bring the best out in us. I love these matchups, man.
Thank you. I love them too, Coach. Good luck down there, all right?
Thank you, man.
J.A. Adande, Timmy Kalishaw,
Champions fine.
Kevin Blackstone, Jackie McMullen. Hello, Jackie. Today, The Decision, starring Matt Barkley. Yeah. The showdown between home team and opposing coach in the period walkover. And the keeper who defended himself and got a red card. No way. We got 12 topics today, but only one winner. Oh, you taking that charge?
In the restricted area.
In the preseason?
In the area.
Welcome to Around the Horn, presented by Crown Royal Black, part of Happy Hour. Here's Tony Reale.
Hey now, welcome back around. Today, right-of-way etiquette in the vomitorium and day 3 of Giants-Jets trash talk. But first,
Jackie McMullen, power forward, University of New Hampshire Wildcats.
Kevin Blackstone, Rolling Crest Junior High School.
Tim Kalishaw, Richardson High School, Hall of Fame.
J.A. Donde, Crossroads School, Santa Monica, CA.
And there they are. Day 3 of the Tuna Melt of Champions. Who will be the next to qualify for the Around the Horn Champions League next Monday? We'll find out in the next 28 and a half. Let's go.
It's the first word.
News of the day, Matt Barkley announcing this afternoon that he'll be returning for his senior year at USC. Kind of a stunner. Some thought he could be a top 10 pick. Instead, taking his 39 touchdowns back to school, where next year that USC team looks stacked. And they could even play in a bowl game. How great is that? Question number 1. What do you think of Barkley staying around the horn, J.A. Adonde?
It's surprising to me because I thought once his tackle, Matt Khalil, declared his intentions to enter the draft, that Matt Barkley would follow him because you don't want to be running around without your guy there protecting you. But maybe he feels like he has unfinished business. He's gotten his team to this level, a top 5 program without the bowl possibilities in place. Now he wants to see what it would like to perhaps even play for a national championship. I think you'd have to consider the Trojans on the short list. I just warned him, though, look what happened, say, when Peyton Manning came back to make a run at the national championship, to maybe get a shot at the Heisman Trophy. He got neither. So I advise guys to get that money when it's available. But if
I
he's
try to
happy,
applaud
then
guys
do
who
it.
make this decision. You know, life is going to get richer and there's going to be things like that, but it's never going to get better or more fun than your senior year. You're the quarterback at USC. You've got great receivers coming back. You've got a team that'll be ranked probably top 5 in the preseason. I agree with Adonde. When Khalil, who's ranked on Todd McShay's board, number 2 pick, when his tackle left, you think, well, he's going to go too. But here's a guy who wants to take one more shot. It worked for Andrew Luck a year ago when we thought he would leave Stanford. He stayed, so maybe it'll work for Barkley.
Well, yeah, I think it's a smart move just because of what you said about Andrew Luck, because if Andrew Luck is gone and Matt Barkley stays, Matt Barkley can be the number 1 pick in the draft next year. You know, I think Matt Barkley is the most underrated player in college football right now. Here's a guy who last year set the the TD record in the Pac-12. He's only played 3 years, and already he's just behind Palmer and Leinart as an all-time passer at USC, set all kinds of records there, as mature as you can find, 6'2", 220, meets all the NFL standards for being a great quarterback. I think it's brilliant to stay because he'll be the number 1 pick on the board next year.
Jackie McMullen?
Hey, I love it when guys stay, but brilliant, it's a little bit risky, guys. Let's be honest. If something happens to Barkley in his senior year and he wrecks his knee, his stock goes through the floor. That's why I think so many times you see guys that do go when they know they're healthy and they're going to go in the top 10, as Barkley surely would have. But as you guys say, a 10-2 team that really could contend for the championship. You got Woods and Lieb, your 2 best receivers coming back. This kid will put up great numbers. He'll probably have a great season. And I love it when kids stay in school rather than leave school.
Well, Tim talked about having fun. When Matt Leinart came back, you'd think it would be just enjoyable, especially the fact that his only academic responsibilities were a ballroom dancing class, but he felt a lot of pressure. He was miserable for a lot of that year because there was so much attention and pressure to do well. But one thing I'll say about Matt Barkley, if he shows the improvement that he did this year, he's definitely the number 1 pick. Before I thought his ceiling was very good. Now his ceiling is great.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to make the Leinart comparison. We just hope for Barkley it works out a lot more favorably like the Luck comparison.
Blackstone.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about guys getting hurt, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to roll that dice. Maybe the money is worth it. And, you know, most guys, fortunately, don't get hurt.
Jackie Mack, last word.
Well, and at the end of the day, if he does stay healthy, he'll make a lot of money now or later, really, truthfully.
We're going to move on. Texans Colts tonight. Houston 10-4 and the 3 seed right now. Still a shot at a first week bye, so they're playing for that. Colts, the number 32 seed right now. They've got a 1-game lead over the Rams and Vikings for the number 1 pick. Should the Colts play to lose the game, Jackie?
Well, of course, your competitive spirit tells you, no, they shouldn't do that. You've got all these veterans. But we all know what the answer is on this panel. The answer is yes. You don't want them to get 2 victories. That puts them in the same realm as Minnesota. You don't want that to happen. In St. Louis, you don't want, the Rams, excuse me, you don't want that to happen. And they've played it this long for Andrew Luck. At this point, they got their moral victory. Now you just have to play hard and lose, guys. I hope you understand.
Well, they probably should have done that last week. But this week, you know what? I don't really think they're going to have to worry about it. I mean, the Texans are playing so well. They throttled them earlier in the year, like 34-7. I don't even think these guys can put up that many points. I know all